Hey guys, this is Danny Boy, and this is Twisted Halls on Nightmare. 5 skull in it. And yeah, there are some extra skulls on this side where I just jumped, kind of near where they spawn. There's the same area on the opposite side. It's a mirror. So I just thought I would show that to you real quick. I didn't bother to go to the other side because I've done this a bunch of times to get 5 skulls, and I just didn't care anymore. But Twisted Halls. This one was pretty tough, though I'd still say Crunch was probably harder. And the strategy I used was barricading along this side, placing grinders and tar traps, and actually pounders. The reason I used pounders rather than the shock, zappers, or haymakers is because the biggest thing the pounders were for the Earth Lords. There are a lot of Earth Lords, and they take a long time to kill, and that was one of the biggest problems for me. Flyers were irritating, Earth Lords were irritating, Gnolls were irritating,
this will be good.
But the Earth Lords were definitely the biggest problem. So the pushers, the pounders, rather, are for them, for the most part. And I couldn't use haymakers because you'll see, well, I can't really... You see how I'm placing these? Just... You'll see in a little bit, I guess. I actually even have haymakers on my bars in part of my loadout. I use haymakers to deal with the flyers. The thunder bats are resistant to lightning damage, so shock zappers aren't great against them. Haymakers actually work quite well, so I use that to help deal with flyers. For the most part, I kill them myself, but eventually there's just so many and it's so overwhelming, and I have to pay attention to other things as well, that I just need haymakers. So they're not a huge priority, but I did get some out pretty quick. In addition to that, I'm using lightning to help just deal with one side, especially in the beginning, because it slows them down, does a lot of damage, and allows me to run to the other side. Just like in War Mage, a lot of your time is spent running from one side to the other. One side to the other, being in 2 places at once. This level was designed for 2 people. Now, unlike in War Mage, I'm actually not using decoys as an additional cushion, because I couldn't really fit them on my bars. I tried doing this without pounders, but by the final wave, I really needed that extra damage by layering pounders on top of the grinders. It made life a lot less hectic, so I took decoys out of my build. I use Ice Magic to just help deal with Earth Lords, freezing them to buy me time, and just doing a lot of damage to them quickly. It was really useful. They don't take a lot of damage from fire or from lightning. Tar traps, because I need time. I need to slow these guys down. I have so much to do at any given time. So much is going on. So, tar traps, upgraded for the additional slow, and minimal cost. Ice, I did upgrade to let me shoot out additional projectiles, which I think lets me do extra damage against the Earth Lords. It seems like if you hit them with even more projectiles at point-blank range, it does do a lot more damage. That was at least my sort of subjective experience. Lightning is fully upgraded for arcing to additional enemies and a chill on the cloud. Barricades, just to heal themselves when they take damage, because I'm not facing sappers. There are no sappers, thank God, on this final level. That would have made this strategy not impossible necessarily, but definitely harder. I'd have to set up a lot of dummy barricades. Let's see. The pounders stun, and I think just reset faster. Haymakers, more damage and a stun. Scavenger Trinket, just fully upgraded. Same with Mana Rage. Blunderbuss, bleed, bonus grenade damage and stuff, less mana cost. Grinders, unjam faster, and kill more guys before they jam. I think that's it. And yeah, I wound up moving. Normally I would have my trinkets as 4 and 5, but I moved them because I had to place traps so quickly and so frequently that I just needed a tighter bind on the regular traps. 9 and 0 are really poor binds, generally speaking. Very weak binds. But yeah, the first of our Earth Lords, really annoying. So many of them. Almost no ogres, just or even trolls. There are some trolls, but mostly Earth Lords. Just tons and tons and tons of Earth Lords. And I'm paying careful attention to my mini-map. And as soon as I see them escape, I make it a point to just try to time it so that I kill everything on one side, and then I have enough time to run over to this side, which is important. Speed is important. killing everything fast enough is important. This one was definitely tough in its execution, just like it was on War Mage. Oh, and yeah, I did beat this. I hadn't 5-skulled it yet, I don't think, but I had beaten it. So that's why I have the Knight armor. The Knight Order armor, whatever it's called. I don't know. You get it when you beat Nightmare. That's why I'm wearing that. And yeah, now you can see I'm creating like kind of a maze, not so much a maze, but just a narrow path for them to walk across that keeps them against the wall. That's why I can't use haymakers there, and that's why I'm using pounders, because the haymakers will knock the orcs over my walls, and they'll run straight to the rifts, and I've actually lost points that way, so I realize I can't use haymakers. And the zappers I'm not using, as I said, because the thunderbats are resistant to them and the earthlords are resistant to them, and that's the #1 thing I want them for. So haymakers for the flyers, and also the blunderbuss, I'll just shoot at them, and I'll also freeze them with ice magic. Eventually I'll have a lot more haymakers near the end, which will make my life a lot easier for dealing with the flyers and give me more breathing room. But my #1 priority is just killing these freaking earthlords because they have so much health and they take so long to kill. These stupid little things that pop out of them, the earthlings, run straight for your rifts. Fortunately, yeah, a lot of mana potions do drop on this map because there are so many earthlords and earth elementals because they come out of the earthlords. So lots of potions drop. Cost was also prohibitive. I really tried to use the scavenger trinket on cooldown as much as possible, but I spent a lot of my mana on ice, just spamming it to buy me time and to kill them faster. They take good damage from the upgraded ice. The pounders are helpful because they do stun the earthlords as well. And they're cheap. They're really cheap. Just 500. Cheaper even than the fully upgraded barricade. And yeah, I definitely don't have enough traps yet. I don't have enough haymakers to really deal with the flyers. I'll never have enough to totally deal with them. I'll always still come up here and check, barring like the very first waves, because I know on the very first wave, 1 haymaker on either side is enough to kill the 3 babies that come through. In fact, I think it's enough even on the second wave. But as time goes on, even 5 total haymakers won't be enough, and I don't think you can really place more than 5 on either side, 1 right next to the window and then 4 more in their path and their actual flight path.
One for you.
Eventually, I'll kind of have more money than I can really use, though I'll still place traps. And yeah, they just decided to randomly kill my wall. I guess I placed it maybe a little too close to the wall, near that torch directly ahead of me on the corner. My mistake, little waste of money, but wasn't a problem. I'll just repair it, or rather place new ones. That could have been really bad. Gotta be careful. I misplaced these walls just slightly, and if you do, they can't get through and they destroy them, and that's problematic, and I have lost. Well, not maybe lost, but... Actually, no, I think I have lost. Not even just lost 5 skulls, but straight up lost because of that. Yeah, and if the flyers were bad on War Mage, or even worse on Nightmare, because not only do they send the Thunderbats, but they also send lots of babies, and babies move really quick. So you need to be careful. Also, nulls are a big problem. Generally speaking, I'm going to be away from my traps because I'm killing flyers or something, and eventually they can really mob you and do a lot of damage. I've actually died before to them on, like, the last, or the second to last wave even. There's just too many, and I was caught out in the open, and I was out of mana because I was dealing with flyers, and they went squish. Kinda sucked, a little demoralizing, but moving along. Persistence is really important for TDs. You have to be willing to fail. You have to be willing to fail over and over and over again. They're about trial and error, really. Experimentation is a big part of TDs. Blunderbuss, and I've mentioned before, is very good for killing the babies, though for some reason it just missed repeatedly. Random spread is random. Sometimes the spread is everywhere around the baby. Everywhere where it's not. Kind of annoying. Yeah, I find ice a little harder to aim with the additional projectiles than with just the 3. I don't know if it's just the reticle is kind of harder for me to aim or what, but I don't know. Okay, so I'm finally going to start placing haymakers. 4, and then another one near the window, so 5 total. Does really help to deal with the flyers. Very helpful. Lightning magic is great against the trolls. Also really, really helpful. I would never do this without lightning magic. That's an example of why I like to have in non-sapper maps, to have the walls spec'd for self-repair. because they just got nicked there, and they'll just heal up. Not a problem. They won't get blown up by crossbowmen or whatever. Also, something I forgot. I haven't done anything on Endless yet. I've only actually ever played just one round of Endless, like right when I first started playing the game. And I could show Endless, but I have a feeling that it's going to be rather challenging to commentate because I would have to do it with 5 skulls, which means I have to hit at least wave 40. Commentating 40 waves, I feel, will be quite the challenge. I have trouble thinking of stuff to say through the average 20-minute, 12-round one, so multiply that by almost 4. That's probably not going to work. I'm just going to run out of stuff to say. I could do it live com, I guess, but again, that'll probably be challenging. Easier said than done. I don't know. We'll see. Leaning towards no, but I'll try. If I don't like it, I just won't do it, basically. So, a big part of this as well is just to try to mirror both sides as well as you can. I actually misplaced my wall just a little bit on this side, that's why they destroyed it, versus the other side, which was fine. Nothing you can do now, though. Really can't make mistakes. If you do make a big mistake, well, you're really not going to have time to sell it unless you wind up finishing a wave right next to whatever went wrong. But if you're on the opposite side of where something needs to be sold, you will not get there in time. In those 3 seconds. Believe me, I've tried. It just doesn't work. So. And, as I said, mirroring both sides, just that I meant more so keeping up both sides, keeping them about even. You don't want one side to be a lot stronger than the other one. Though it's not a huge deal, like I did that in the beginning to an extent, and I just counteracted that by fighting on that side and bolstering it myself. The player is stronger than any trap in the game, generally speaking. Assuming you can, you know, aim. Hitting is kind of important. Like there, miss, 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 I suck, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, and I do try to kill the Earthlords myself as much as possible because they will go through my entire grinder maze thing without actually dying. They'll be near death, but they won't die, and then there'll be 2, or they might die, and then there's 2 of them, and then those will die, and then there's 4 of them. The Earthlings die basically instantly against grinders, though. They're just kind of like runners, essentially. So yeah, this is an example of I let this side get a little low on pounders. A little behind. But there we go. They are cheap, fortunately. Definitely an advantage. They do good damage. You just need to support them with other traps. They don't knock enemies over your walls like the haymakers do. They can still stun. But we're on wave 10. But I knew I wasn't done yet. I'd gotten this far a number of times, and then just simple mistake, a flyer, or an all kills you, or somebody just gets through, you get overwhelmed, whatever. Execution is definitely important. Map awareness, knowing the map, knowing the waves, knowing what to expect, not making the same mistakes again. That's another annoying thing about TDs is you screw up on wave 12, you know, you screw up on the final wave, the second to last wave, or wave 10 or whatever. Well, that's 12 minutes of your life that you have to repeat. I'm not going to say 12 minutes wasted because you hopefully learned something from that attempt, but gotta start all over. Wouldn't be as bad if it was like 5-minute attempts, but levels stop taking 5 minutes once you're past, like, the edge, basically, the first one. So, wave 11, we are reaching the end.
Ooh, nice.
And I'm not getting complacent, that's another thing. You might think, well, I have more than enough traps, why bother placing more? You might, but then again, you might not. On wave 12, those waves are usually, and 11, the second to last wave, the last wave, are really nasty. So don't get complacent. Keep placing traps. Keep using the scavenger trinket or whatever, killing enemies on coin forges. Keep fighting the battle of cost. And keep placing traps, and it's better to have too many. Better to have overkill than not enough and lose. Though, if there are other priorities, if you don't have time, like how I had to deal with those flyers, that's something else. Squish, 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 melt, die. I thought that was amusing. All of a sudden. Squish. Moving along, just going from one side to the other, one side to the other. Wave 11 actually seems to be kind of easy. Not a lot in that wave, not a lot of Earth Lords or big targets. Mostly flyers, really. And there were also Cyclops mages, I think, and maybe Shaman, but they all died pretty quick. So, just spending the rest of my money. One thing I was a little worried about was maybe a wall randomly dying at the end, which I have had happen for, like, no reason, and not having enough money to replace it, and then losing, and then crying. But, so I kind of wanted to have just enough to maybe build up my walls. And here, there are a ton of flyers you have to worry about, so I was kind of just eyes glued up here, wanting to make sure that I killed them all. Haymakers would have killed most of them, but I just wanted to do it myself for the most part. And rely on the Haymakers more as a backup and just keep some pressure off of me. But I'm also watching my mini-map basically all the time. I'm looking to see where they've progressed in my little kill zone, my long death line thing. Also, yeah, nulls. Worry about nulls. There's a lot of them. I think there's 4 on this wave. That was 2. Could be wrong. And yeah, 1 straggler. That's all it takes. All it takes to lose 5 skulls. Just 1 flyer slips past you didn't see. I was very paranoid about flyers. I was like quadruple checking, quintuple checking to make sure that I'd killed all the flyers. Decoys would have made this easier, but I just didn't have, like, right there. Relieve a little pressure for me. But yeah, how the hell they managed to get through all that, I don't know. But I just didn't have space in my loadout for decoys. And right here, I want these things to die. I want them to die now. So I'm just... Fortunately, I had so many potions here, I didn't even have to blow my mana rage. I thought I would need it for the other side, but I guess they all died from traps. And there's a little mouse victory dance. 5 skulls for the first time. I actually finished with 8,000 gold. 342,000. Pretty solid. And I made par by almost a minute. Too close for my taste. That's the game, guys. That is Orcs Must Die 2. All 5 skull strategies for Nightmare. Thanks, guys, for watching. Stay tuned for more. Please like the video if you liked it. Maybe not necessarily this game, more of this game, but other games. Like the video if you liked it. Comment. And hope you liked it, guys. I hope it was entertaining. It was fun for me. It was definitely fun. Have a good one, guys.